Tipping. A seemingly simple act yet fraught with social anxiety, silent judgment, and the occasional passive-aggressive credit card receipt. But where did this custom of adding an extra something to the bill even come from? Believe it or not, tipping wasn't always a thing in America. It actually originated in Europe, because of course it did, as a way to ensure good service from servants. You know, those folks downstairs who made sure your chamber pot wasn't overflowing? The word tip itself is believed to have come from the acronym to ensure promptness. Basically, a little bribe to get your food a bit faster and your ale a tad colder. How efficient. However, tipping in the US didn't truly take hold until after the Civil War. It was seen as a way to avoid paying formerly enslaved people a decent wage. Yes, you read that right. The history of tipping in America is as messed up as a spilled plate of spaghetti and meatballs. Fast forward to today, and tipping is as American as apple pie, which, by the way, you should also tip on if you get it to go. It's become so ingrained in our culture that we're practically hardwired to do it. Walk out of a restaurant without tipping, prepare for the judgmental stares of 1,000 suns. But here's the thing. Tipping customs can be confusing. How much do you tip on a $12 salad? What about a $100 steak? And what about those newfangled kiosks that are popping up everywhere? Do you tip the machine? Spoiler alert, no you don't, unless it gives you extra ketchup packets. These days, 15 to 20% is the generally accepted range for good service at restaurants. But then there's the whole tipping on the pre-tax amount versus the post-tax amount debate, which is enough to make your head spin faster than a salad spinner. Let's address the elephant in the room, or should I say, the awkward tension in the restaurant. Tipping is a controversial topic. On one hand, you have customers who are tired of feeling obligated to supplement someone else's wages. They argue that restaurants should just pay their employees a living wage and be done with it. And you know what? They have a point. On the other hand, you have servers who rely on tips to make ends meet. They argue that abolishing tipping would hurt their income and could lead to job losses. They also point out that good service deserves to be rewarded, and tips provide an incentive to go above and beyond. Then there's the whole issue of inconsistent tipping practices. Some people are generous tippers while others are, shall we say, a bit more frugal. This can create tension and resentment between customers and servers, especially when those servers are relying on those tips to, pay their rent. The wage war, why restaurants struggle. Now you might be wondering, why don't restaurants just pay their employees a living wage and eliminate this whole tipping conundrum? It seems like the most logical solution, right? Well, the restaurant industry is a tricky business. Profit margins are notoriously thin, and raising menu prices to cover the cost of higher wages isn't always feasible. Customers are already price-sensitive, and increasing prices could drive them away. And let's not forget about competition. If one restaurant raises its prices to pay its staff more, but the place across the street keeps its prices low by relying on tips, guess where customers are more likely to go? Yup, the cheaper option. Beyond the tip jar, seeking solutions. So what's the solution to this tipping turmoil? If only there was a simple answer. Some restaurants have experimented with no tipping policies, either raising menu prices or implementing a service charge. Others have adopted a tip pooling system where tips are shared equally among all staff. But each of these solutions has its own set of challenges and drawbacks. There's no one-size-fits-all answer, and the debate over the best way to compensate service workers in the restaurant industry is likely to continue. Perhaps the most promising solution is a shift in mindset. Customers need to understand that tipping isn't optional, it's an essential part of a server's income. And restaurants need to find ways to provide their employees with a living wage, whether through higher base pay, better benefits, or a combination of both. To tip or not to tip? That is the question. The great tipping debate is a complex issue with no easy answers. It's a tangled web of history, culture, economics, and good old-fashioned human behavior. But one thing's for sure, tipping is here to stay, at least for the foreseeable future. So, the next time you're dining out and reach for your wallet to leave a tip, remember this. You're not just adding a few extra dollars to the bill, you're participating in a long-standing tradition, one that has both its merits and its flaws. And maybe, just maybe, by starting a conversation and considering different perspectives, we can find a way to create a more equitable and enjoyable dining experience for everyone involved. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm off to find a restaurant that pays its employees a living wage and doesn't make me do mental math at the end of my meal. A guy can dream, can't he?